Hello and welcome to another fine edition of It's a Sports Show. Alongside me, as always, Dolphin Paul. I'm Scott Cray. We took a couple weeks off.
Little respite.
Much needed.
That's why I'm laughing, because we took a little respite.
Football ends and you have that little lull.
What? There's
no
games this weekend?
Football is over.
Oh, come on. Don't tell me. Are you joking?
Ding! The season's over, Charlie. So I pick up the paper this morning, and of course, you know, the front page stuff about this, that, and the other, you know, the URI wife is missing and all. I care less. I want to get right to the chase. I go to the sports page, and our man, Mr. Manny Ramirez, has showed up. Now, he said he wasn't going to show up for March 1st.
He
shows up 3 days before. So is he early? He's technically late. He came in after everyone else.
Early.
So the Manny talks have begun now. We're already starting with the drama. You know, it went on for a few days prior to him showing up. Now he's showing up. Everybody's saying that the season can begin.
I wanted to go to a car auction, pick up a couple vehicles.
I mean, this is kind of ridiculous with the Manny talk. You know me. I'm the anti-Manny because I was the anti-Pedro. These guys are big spoiled athletes, in my opinion, when they act like little kids. But you know what? I've turned over a new leaf. I don't care anymore. I'm not his boss, and I'm not his teammate. If he wants to show up, be a fool, have Manny being Manny. As a matter of fact, I don't even want to use the term Manny being Manny for the entire season. You can mention it. Anyone else can mention it. Not coming from my mouth.
I'm kind of speechless. I think you've come over to my side. It's basically what you're doing. Is you're just saying that you're seeing my argument.
Maybe I am. Maybe I am. I'm sick of caring. The dude's got, what, 2 years left? He goes, he doesn't.
I've said it before. You didn't want to listen. Well, when you have the package of Manny, you're going to get these things.
Right.
And they're going crazy on sports radio. But in all seriousness,
who cares?
Is anybody surprised by this action? Is anybody think this will be it for the rest of the?
Of course not.
Wait a minute. No. The first one, long season.
Does anybody
think that nothing else is going to happen during the All-Star break? He's going to want to go home. You know what?
He's going to want to go home at the All-Star break. He's going to want to go into the Green Monster to throw a whiz. He's going to be lolly-dollying out in left field. He's going to have these injuries where he's not going to be able to play. It's going to happen. But you know what? I don't care. Now, let's get one thing straight.
And why don't you care?
Well, I want to explain something. I've refocused my ticked-off Manny energies into basically management that allows him to do this, okay?
That break did you good.
Yeah, I guess
I think you've come back refreshed, and
I think it was just
I think your opinions
baseball.
are much better than they were before. I can't wait to get to other subjects.
We got plenty more to talk about,
I can't wait to get to other subjects.
All right, so let's talk about, it's the start of Red Sox season. I know you make the adjustment from big-time football fan to pretty big baseball fan, whereas I'm the opposite. So I'm excited, and not to say you're not, but I mean, we haven't seen great summer baseball in a long time. How do you feel?
Well, there's a lot of excitement because of the new additions.
Sure.
Particularly
Daisuke
Matsusaka.
I didn't wear my red Daisuke shirt today.
Who, by all accounts, is looking pretty good.
Yep.
And sometimes I think I don't know how good this guy's going to be, but then I think, you know what? He played in the World Baseball Classic against top-notch talent, so he looks like he is going to be a top-line pitcher, which is good. He threw some great stuff early on. He looks like he's got the work ethic.
He threw 50 pitches a couple days ago at batting practice, and the players against him said that he was looking pretty good. Of course, what else are they going to say?
Well, he took on some minor leaguers also. Was it college kids? So minor leaguers or college kids, and he pretty much wowed them, and Veritek was impressed with him. So that's good. You know, just to close out Manny, you know.
It's Manny being Manny.
Well, a lot of people want a lot of people want the management to do this, do that.
And that's how I feel.
I said,
at this point now, I feel that management is the guilty one.
But it is.
He should be there on time, like everybody else had to be.
He's a different player.
You go over to the Yankees.
He's a different player. He's
different. How should he be special?
He's like a 5-year-old kid who you have to chase around in the park to make sure he doesn't bang his head. That's the way he is.
Right.
So you have to accept the package. Now, should management just say, no, go ahead, do whatever you want? No, but these things are going to happen. As a fan, I am not very surprised when these things happen. You know what? People say, oh, don't say you'll take the hits. That's what it's all about until he stops.
It doesn't
his unbelievable production at the plate. if he was so bad,
right?
Okay, and I'm getting a little hoarse here.
Yeah,
Maybe
right.
I need another
Getting all excited about Manny.
I'll be back in September for the first.
We'll see about that.
No, but if he was such a bad player and they wanted to get rid of him, which I understand, he's kind of a distraction.
Well, his caliber allows him to do this.
Why couldn't they trade him in the offseason?
Because
they didn't get enough.
We're only going to
for
get
him.
50 cents on the dollar
Well,
for it. That's why. His time
until
will
the
come.
guy stops being an absolute monster at the bat.
Hold on, I got to throw something. Yeah. Jen has a force of habit of screaming during shows. So she doesn't know she's screaming, but now I got her attention. She'll be quiet the rest of the way, I'm sure.
Now I'm scared.
Well, look, you go over to Jen will listen to this. You go over to the evil empire, right? The New York Yankees, okay? You have players like A-Rod, Jeter, high caliber players in Major League Baseball, not just for the Yankees. They showed up on time. Johnny Damon got an excused absence for 2 days, had some family issues to deal with. After 2 days, he showed up on time. Manny apparently taking care of his sick mother. Well, how come for Johnny Damon we see he's got an excused absence for 2 days and he shows up? Manny, nothing about an excused absence. Francona's throwing his arms up. He doesn't even know what's going on. Why is it that he's just so spectacular that management doesn't step in and do something about this? The Yankees have no problem taking care of their boys and making sure that the right thing is out there.
I'll tell you why, because they walk a fine line by putting this guy off. And you can say what you want about, oh no, they don't want to upset the apple cart, because if you put a lot of pressure on him and he shuts down because he's been wanting to be traded, you're going to have a problem. So I'm sure inside, behind closed doors, they're like, what are we going to do with this guy? But, well.
See, you already I said that I wasn't going to complain about him, and now you already.
Because I wanted to bring it out of you. I wanted to bring it out of you.
I'm mad at Red Sox management. Let me get that point across.
Who cares? It's March. There's 162 games.
Smiling, happy face. Manny, he's got a little, red things going on in his. Is that cornrows?
When's the first game? Have Manny show up and hit.
Hey,
That's all we need.
This is some exciting stuff. The Red Sox are going to play the Twins in the first game of the Grapefruit League. By the time people see this, they'll have already been.
That's a good name for a Grapefruit League.
Well, when you got people like Manny playing it is. All right, let's move on to Dice K. We started talking about it. Red Sox spent $103 million. Nobody seems to know what to expect from him. Not because he's not good, not because he'll have a problem with the Boston media or fans, because that won't be a problem, because the dude's been followed around since he was 12. But the adjustment to American baseball, we've seen in the past, some players do okay. A lot of players have that first year, at least first half year. How patient are we going to be with this guy? Because even though you got to give him some leeway, you did toss $103 million. Well,
I don't think fans are going to be patient at all as far as
Red Sox
performance.
Right.
Now, what numbers are we looking at? I mean, are we looking at his ERA over 5? I mean, yeah. I mean, if he is, I don't want to say bust, because there's no way he's going to be a bust. But if he struggles and doesn't pitch well
early,
yeah. I mean, I think if he keeps his IRA, his IRA, he doesn't need an IRA. If he keeps his ERA down around 3.5, 2,
even sub
2 to
4.
3.5, close to 4.
Oh, two. If you start talking numbers with a 2 in front of it for an ERA, the guy's a superstar.
Right.
In this day and age in the American League East.
But I mean, if he's pitching well, maybe not getting run support, we'll have to see how that pans out. But yeah,
that's a good point. I hadn't thought about the whole run support thing. We've seen in the past, not so much with the Red Sox. Actually, with the Red Sox 2 years ago, David Wells had an outstanding record. I don't remember off the top of my head what it was. He had the highest run support in all of Major League Baseball and did what he did, even despite his ERA.
I'll tell you what I expect. If he could be at least, and I'm keeping my expectations low, a very good number 3.
Yep.
I think that's pretty fair. 3, 2, maybe behind Schilling. Who knows what's going to happen with Schilling? That's somebody else we can talk about. But,
right.
I think, on the other hand, on the back of my mind is also a ceiling that are like, wow, the way he started to pitch so far, he seems like he's handled the media.
Sure.
I mean, he's not like, he doesn't get rattled. I'm real nervous. There's too many people around. He's going on about his business. It looks like he knows what he's doing.
And he's a loose personality guy.
He's
relaxed.
He's a fun kid. His regiment, and I think, like I said, to be a very solid pitcher here, But hey, this guy could be an ace. That in the back of my mind, that's what you really want.
Your curiosity is
with the all the pitches
$103 million. I know people are gonna say that's not how much that Dice K got, but the fact of the matter is the Red Sox spent that much money on him.
And I don't think it's unfair to expect him to be at least a very good pitcher, a
Right.
solid number 2. I would be happy with, because even though you said they did spend $100-something million, his salary is really about what, $8 million or so.
Sure.
Not that we're going to judge him by that, but that's technically the salary
We're
that
all
they
expecting big things. That's what we're hoping for. Moving on, elsewhere in the starting rotation, Kurt Schilling throwing some bad apples around, or maybe not just Kurt Schilling, but management. Some things up. Management has decided not to give Kurt Schilling a extension until they said they'll talk about it after the season's over. Kurt Schilling not too happy about that, firing back in the media, by the way, not directly to management, saying, hey, forget it then, I'm going to free agency. This is very un-Kurt Schilling-esque, or is it?
He's the master of the media, too.
Sure he is.
He calls sports talk shows and stuff like that, so he's very suave when it comes to media and throwing things out there. This is kind of a tough situation. I don't have a strong stand either way. I hate to waffle on this one, but if you look at it from the Red Sox perspective, it's probably a good move considering his age.
Sure.
And you know what? Kurt didn't do himself. I mean, he's a tremendous pitcher as far as studying, work habits, but he didn't exactly come in top shape.
He's
not like me and Frenchie right now, where we're looking stealth and solid.
Speak for yourself. Frenchie's losing pounds.
Frenchie's losing pounds. I'm losing pounds. We're looking solid here on It's a Sports
I'm
Show.
gaining pounds. I don't know. I'm going to meet you guys halfway in.
But he didn't exactly come in top shape. And, if he came in like in tremendous, said, listen, this is what I've done. And
right.
My off-season's been the best. I'm really ready to go.
He admitted that his off-season regimen wasn't what it has been.
Maybe the Sox could say, I think you'd basically be paying him an extension for what he did, maybe for the World Series.
Which I always disagree on. You should never pay forward what players have done backwards.
In that case, you have to side with the Red Sox.
I agree.
It's a calculated move because if he does pitch well, he is kind of a fan favorite because he tells it like it is. And he doesn't hide his feelings.
But ability always comes first, and if he doesn't show that ability
this year... If he gets to the All-Star break with, 2-3 losses and a pretty good ERA...
Different story.
I don't know what he'd say if the Red Sox said, you know what? We've been looking at that extension we talked about? We'd like to give it to you.
Right, and Schilling might take it, but the number might be just a hair higher at that point.
Well, that's the thing. It's a calculated risk on the Red Sox part. And, they got enough young pitchers where, I don't think it's that big a deal. I really don't because, he hasn't been dominant since the World Series year, and he's been hurt, and we all know about the bloody Sox.
And we excused him.
Great contribution to the Red Sox.
We excused him since that World Series because of what he did.
Absolutely.
We'll never forget what he did. He had one of the biggest impacts in that series. However, I tend to agree with what you're saying about the Red Sox standpoint, where he's not a young guy anymore, and his track record in the last year or two isn't spectacular. You want to see what the guy's going to do. Hey, if he does well, you sign him. You give him what he wants. But if he doesn't,
I
like him around these...
Boston.
Yes.
But
he still has a place out west, don't forget.
Oh, there's
a lot of people don't know that. He still owns a home out in L.A.
Ideally for the Sox, if everything went smooth, a lot of feathers weren't ruffled, he had a pretty good year, they'd say, you know what, we'll give you that extension, maybe bump it up a little bit. In other words, if he has a great year, he's got the leverage. If not, then the Red Sox obviously.
The Red Sox took the chance.
They can extend him next year for say, listen, you had a bad year, we'll extend you.
If he doesn't have a good year, they won't.
Right.
I don't think they will.
Well, they might not at all.
Like you said, they've got too many young guys. Now, I kind of like the fact that the Red Sox pointedly said, we're going to wait till after the season. I hope Kurt can put this behind them, too. And he represents himself. I'm not going to speak on his behalf, and I know he wants the money. Fact of the matter is, he's got to help these young pitchers out this year. He's going to be a big part of this lineup. Even if he's not performing well, he's a big part to these young guys, and I hope that all this doesn't become a distraction.
Probably a good motivational tool also because, if he's not in shape or whatever, he's got to pitch well.
Certainly got to get there.
And he's got to, if he wants to play another year, he's got to open other eyes. You
right.
know. Will he jump to the evil empire like Johnny?
No, if anything, I see him going out to the West Coast because he has a home out there. He wants to get involved with politics, and there's politics everywhere, but there's plenty out in the West Coast. And going to a National League team might be a good thing to extend his career for one more year, maybe even two at that point, depending on.
This would be interesting though because he's not shy about his feelings. So I have a feeling this might
Think this will be brought up again?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
This might be a little bit of a distraction, but
That's
he's professional enough where I don't think he's going to be the type of guy to pout and everything. He's got enough pride where The Red Sox are probably hoping, hey, show us what you got, and I mean,
he's got to show what he has.
Even if they get a great year out of him at $13 million, that's not bad.
Not bad at all. Let's go a little further down the starting lineup. Jonathan Papelbon, starting lineup rotation. We're talking rotation here. Jonathan Papelbon, at least at the start of the season, they're going to put this guy in the starter's role. We all knew this, and the fact of the matter is, we want to give him more innings, and a lot of people are confused, saying, well, if he's got that shoulder injury, why are we giving him more innings? Well, a starting pitcher has a different type of workout, I don't want to say ethic, just a different practice
regimen?
altogether. Yeah, regimen, because it's very predictable. They know when they're going to start, and everything that happens in between starts is all fully regimented, whereas as a closer, you don't know when you're going to come in, and when you do come in, you got to throw nothing but gas. So this is a different approach.
It's interesting, I'll tell you why, because Francona, I never agreed with this move, but Francona...
Moving him to the starting section?
Right, but Francona came out and said, we went on the doctor's advice, which made me feel better, saying, hey, listen, they're doing this on behalf of the doctors who said, I mean, it still kind of strikes me that a guy pitches all those innings, even though it's every 5 days.
Right.
Like, a lot of guys will go into a closer's role at the end of their career.
Right.
And you would think it's like kind of the opposite.
Well, Smoltz kind of
Maybe
did
because
that.
they're older.
Yeah.
Right? Because
I
it
know what
doesn't
you're
make
saying.
sense. I mean, if you're going to prolong your career in the bullpen, why couldn't you start your career in the bullpen? It contradicts it. So
I think it has a lot
my
to
only
do
logical
with-
thought is if you're young and they're trying to preserve him for the long haul.
Start him as a closer.
No,
saying?
they're saying as a starter,
Right.
he'll be
prolong
preserved.
right.
He'll prolong his career. I still find that kind of odd, but
I mean, look what happened to the closer out in L.A. He was lights out for a long time. He just got traded. Who am I trying to think of?
Gagne?
Gagne. You know, he burned his arm
Not
out.
that for baseball.
That's
huh?
pretty good, you know? What's his first name?
Not just a one-trick pony. Eric.
Pretty good.
Yeah, I'm not just
You know
a
what's
one-trick
going on
pony.
once in a while. It's like you're saying, it's not so much the number of innings or number of pitches, but what they have to throw. A closer has to throw nothing but gas, at least an effective one anyway. And you just wear yourself down.
That's true.
And
But
it's unpredictable.
I'm going to go by what the doctors say, but I know he has to throw gas. But you know what? You're going to throw gas in first, second, and third innings too.
Right.
But I guess I can see that workload every day, going out there throwing 96, 97 miles an hour. I guess over the long haul, like you said, every 5 days, maybe that rest helps it. Obviously we're not doctors. We don't play doctors on it's a sports show.
Sure.
So I was glad when Francona said that, because I'm like, this guy's a closer.
Right.
We know
he was
we
lights
know what
out
he
as
can
a
do
closer.
in the pen.
Right.
We don't know what
And
he
you
can
know
do
what?
as a
This
starting
isn't
pitcher.
permanent either. If A, things don't go well in the bullpen, or B, he doesn't do well as a starter, you might see that switch again. I hate to see it happen because I think it will shorten his career, and he's a very young guy.
But with this pitching staff, with some good pitchers, it'd be nice to see somebody who can come in and be lights out. 'Cause
Exactly.
as we know, they didn't really do much with the closer. I mean, we'll talk about that as the season starts. But
Yep.
I mean, they're probably going to try to find a closer out of this bunch. And
Yeah, they have 3 or 4 guys they brought in, specific to this role. Timlin, probably not considered a closer type guy. And I'm a little concerned with him because he's already got himself an oblique strain at some point.
Yeah. Could it be because he's 67? That might be why he has an oblique strain.
Well, I mean, I don't think he's as old as Kurt Schilling, or he's at least right around there.
He's about that age, so I mean, I don't see why we keep it dependent on this guy. I didn't like him when he was younger. I don't like him now.
The last guy I want to talk about in the starting rotation is who we've come to love because he fought and beat cancer rather quickly, actually. He's pretty healthy so far in spring training. What can we expect from our I'm going to say new young stud at this point? What do we expect from him at the bottom of the rotation? Is he going to stick around, or
John Lester you're talking about?
Oh yeah, I never mentioned his name. Oh, by the way, his name's John Lester.
Okay.
They're gonna try him out at the bottom of the lineup, at the bottom of the rotation. I think it's probably after Wakefield, and see if things work out. I wouldn't be shocked if they bounced him back to AAA if things didn't.
I
work
told
out.
somebody that he was healthy, and people were like, oh, I said, listen, he doesn't have a torn shoulder.
Right.
It's not his elbow.
Right.
It's not his knee. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm
When
not downplaying cancer.
No, but he beat
God
it.
knows,
He beat it. It's out of his system.
We all know
It's
somebody
behind
who's had
him.
cancer and so
Sure.
forth. I had it in my family. I'm sure you had it in yours. Everybody knows somebody. But, for right now, he's cancer-free. Mechanically,
Yeah, he's there.
he can pitch. Now, God forbid if he gets cancer again, now you'd be looking at more of a long-term, hey, this might not work out long-term, but
at least for
if
now,
everything's clean, for now, I mean, he should be able to pitch.
He's free. He's
Absolutely.
young.
So, like I said, I mean, they got potential in the starting staff, and I'm waffling again because Beckett's kind of a head case. Wakefield's old. Lester, we're not sure we're going to get. Dice came, Schilling's getting up there in age. So
I was kind of going there
it could be good, it could be bad. I know I'm waffling again, but I
think there's I think
it's going to be a decent.
Well, there's a lot of high expectations, but at the same time, aside from Wakefield and who was the other that we were saying was a head case?
Beckett?
Beckett. Aside from Wakefield and Beckett, we have an excuse for every single one of them. If someone doesn't pitch well, we could give them a little leniency. Dice K, we could say he's not adjusting to American baseball. He'll come around because we're already off to a great foot with him. Schilling, we could say he has contract in the mind. Oh, he's old. Oh, he had the bloody sock, so we'll give him an excuse. And finally, Lester, we all know why we could give him an excuse. And by the way, Papelbon, same thing. We'll all be crying for him to be in the closer's role. And he'll have an excuse for not pitching well.
I'm so much happier as a Red Sox fan that Dice K is there.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that really anchors the staff and kind of stabilizes because, there'd be a lot more questions if he wasn't there.
Right.
With Beckett's problems coming from the National League.
Maybe he'll make those other players better like Beckett.
Papelbon. But, I mean, you think Beckett's young.
Yep.
Papelbon's young. Lester certainly is young. You got the veteran Schilling. Daisuke is certainly very young. So it's got the potential to be a very good staff. But I wouldn't be surprised.
We've seen what happens with potential before.
I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't struggle at the beginning to get the thing going. But, I mean, you got J.D. Drew now in the number 5 hole. Which
J.D. Drew, we've got some high expectations from him. So now you got Manny
Julio
Ortiz
Lugo,
and Drew.
Which is, we're kind of, have to see how he plays defensively.
Yep.
We all know he replaced a defensive whiz.
Coco Crisp still on this team.
Coco Crispy's the second year.
Injury-free, although he says the finger's still annoyed, but he's not injured like he was last year. There's a lot of high expectations on this team, but you know what? There is every year. We never go into a season, as far as I can remember, thinking, hey, I'm not so sure if the Red Sox are going to do well this year. We're certainly hoping. I mean, last year they bombed at the end of the season. Don't forget, folks, this Red Sox team finished in 3rd place last year, behind Toronto and New York. So you look, again, I'm going to go over to a different part of the country, but not too far, and look at the New York Yankees. They've got some issues right now. They've got some players that Randy Johnson's gone, which is probably not a good thing for the Red Sox. I think we'd rather have seen him stay because he sucked. You've got Bernie Williams. There's a little something going in the clubhouse there. Jeter and A-Rod, I don't know what, they're bum buddies, then they're not. Can I say that on Access? So he's got a problem with his pink chapstick, and Jeter's just being Jeter. There's all, so the Yankees kind of have their problems within the clubhouse. Sheffield's gone.
They still got a great lineup. I mean, it's still potent.
But we might be seeing a Yankees team that for the first time emotionally, there might be a little more tension in there than there has been in the past. You know what I mean? We've started to see it last year.
That goes away, you lose.
Well,
that's going to become
now
more of a problem.
they didn't fully win last year, and we saw some problems last year. It started to mix up a little ugly.
I mean, I think that's why it'll be interesting. I mean, to see this play out again.
They're
long season, but I mean, it's interesting.
Well, they just pick up to play right field. They picked up the big name last year, and he's already got an injury. Who the heck am I thinking of?
Abreu?
Yes, he's already got some sort of strain, and will be down for a couple of weeks. Now, maybe it'll turn out to be nothing, but maybe that injury is going to nag him, like we saw Crisp with the finger injury, so you don't know.
You'll have to wait to see how it plays out.
I'm sure Jen's hating every word I'm saying right now, the Yankees.
Hey, listen, it's Red Sox Yankees. Let's get it going.
I want to talk a little bit about X-pitching rotation, if you will. So what do we got, 5 minutes left?
Times are flying.
Times are flying. Keith Folk, after signing a 1-year, $5 million contract with Cleveland, him and Joe Borowski, are going to fight for that closer spot in Cleveland, decided to call it quits. He's retired.
Folk, he got beat up. He lost the fight, so he's out.
Wow, that was very nice. But Folk always going to be in our memory for that World Series championship. I mean, he was the man. He became a head case the next year.
That's one of the oddest things. He came in, he contributed. Certainly one of the key cogs in the Red Sox first championship in breaking the curse.
Yep.
First championship in the modern era. And you know what? Somebody mentioned something, and I kind of agree. Give him credit for not staying there and sucking up the $5 million in rehab.
Right.
Probably just said, hey, you know what? I'm going to rip the team off for $5 million.
It's kind of funny.
I don't feel like going through rehab. I mean, he could just
It's kind of funny that he's a head case, yet he did the smart thing in
well,
this case.
I mean,
you know what
he could go through the motions just to collect the money. So.
Right. He's got enough money. He collects money from the Burger King employees, you know? How much time we got, Mitch? Got a couple. Wait, we could go an hour. How much? About 4 minutes, so we got a little bit of time, too. Pena getting signed for an extension. 1 year, $1.87 million. Last year played 84 games, had himself 42 ribbies, 11 homers, and a .311 average. Not a bad average for a power guy. There's a place for him in this lineup, and if you imagine that he plays 160 games, 150 games, and double his stats, more than double his stats because he's in there, he could be something special in that Red Sox lineup.
He could. The jury's still out on him.
Not feeling the Willie Mo?
Not
feeling the
not
love?
right now. He's shown the power. I don't know. You know what? The $1.875 million, that's, I think, what they paid the groundskeepers. So
chump change.
That's chump change, certainly in
And if he can impress,
terms.
He'll stay in Red Sox Nation long.
Yeah, I mean,
or at least become a trade.
Hopefully he can latch on and maybe get time where he gets into a groove.
Yep.
But I still don't know about him.
Two more things I want to talk about. One, not Red Sox related. I want folks to remember that I told you that NASCAR was on its way to the fourth sport. When we hear big four sports in the Northeast here where we live, we still, for some reason, I don't know if it's because it's a cold time of year or what, consider hockey to be the fourth sport. And I've been saying for quite some time now that NASCAR is on its way. Me personally, don't like it, could care less about guys turning left for hours upon hours. But the fact of the matter is, 2007, we're starting to already see it. It's not taking long for ESPN to do this and for the Red Sox even to do this. NASCAR, 2007, the year that NASCAR becomes the fourth sport. Goodbye hockey, and that's just the way it's going to be.
NASCAR.
Baseball, football, always going to be our thing, but you got basketball in there, and now NASCAR.
Well, I think NASCAR has taken over. I mean, if you were to rate it, it'd probably be ahead of a lot of those sports. I mean, I still don't consider it a major sport.
Well, see,
but
now
the
you
past
can't.
5 years, the interest has been unbelievable in NASCAR.
Sure.
It's just if you're not
It's
a
crawled
NASCAR
its way
fan
up
like
to him.
us, you're not really into it. But we know a lot of people who are in NASCAR. We've seen the sponsorships be huge.
And now the Red Sox just threw in their
Red
share
Sox want to tie into it. I mean, NASCAR is huge.
Right.
I mean, like you said, people turn left, but I guess it's exciting to go there.
Sure.
And tailgate.
And for people that are interested in it, it's
Absolutely.
exciting to watch it. Hey, I can't knock NASCAR. I don't like it, but you know what? I'm done knocking. See, I'm turning over all these new leaves.
Unbelievable.
I'm done
no more
down.
weeks off for you.
I'm done knocking down NASCAR fans because if I can sit for 3.5 hours.
Those anger
and
management
watch,
classes did you well.
Did me okay. I'm a calmer man now. If I could sit and watch for 2.5, 3 hours and watch poker, then by golly, people can watch NASCAR, okay? Last but not least, Dennis Johnson. I was a little young. 1 minute? Wow, I was a little young to see Dennis Johnson play. You've got a couple of years on me, so I didn't know if you had...
Oh, to Dennis Johnson, real quick, we don't have a lot of time,
passing away at a very young
52
age.
years old. Larry Bird said it, and it's one thing I remember. He wasn't a great practice player. He didn't like practice, but a clutch player.
Yep.
At the end of the Celtics basketball games, you could always depend on DJ to sink one. He might have 12 points, but, the last 2 baskets would be huge. At the end of a game, one of the greatest defenders of all time. There's not enough things you can say about him. Larry Bird called him the best basketball player he ever played with. That should tell you a lot. I mean, he was great in Seattle, was an MVP in a championship before he came to the Celtics.
Yep.
And with the Celtics, he fit in so well with him and Ainge. And I got very good memories of those Celtics teams with DJ and Ainge and Bird, McHale, Parrish, the Big Five. But Danny Ainge, certainly tremendous basketball player, big impact in the area.
Yep.
And, unfortunately, as we're getting older,
passes away.
52 years old.
Celtics not playing so well right now, but back in the heyday, they were the team to be in.
Draft,
Dennis Johnson
draft.
will
Greg
definitely be
Oden,
missed.
Greg Oden.
It's a sports show at yahoo.com. Keep sending us your emails. Give us a call here at the studio, 336-6770 in the 508. And don't forget to visit us on YouTube. Keyword IASS. That's how you'll find us. Thanks to Mitch and Jen in the control room, doing an excellent job as always. And I'll see you next week.
How about Frenchie?
Frenchie didn't do anything today.
No.